Are we under nuclear attack? Well, no, not yet, but the odds have greatly increased following Vladimir Putin's statement that he's prepared to use a shitload of nuclear weapons against the West to defend key areas of Ukraine. Now, whilst our leaders tend to be a little less insane with their dick-slinging threats of mass destruction, there's still a possibility that at some point we'll have to use our own supply in less of a sort of soft power kind of way. But if push comes to shove and the UK is forced to retaliate, where does the process of dusting off our old warheads actually begin? Well, here's the scariest part. It already has. Initiated during the Cold War, the Trident program was developed as an anti-Soviet weapon. Good to see nothing's changed there then. Upon taking office, the Prime Minister handwrites 4 letters of last resort. These are addressed to the commanding officers of the 4 ballistic missile submarines that make up the Trident program: Vanguard, Victorious, Vigilant, and Vengeance. Yes, this means that, rather worryingly, Liz Truss has already written the instructions that could end many, if not all, lives on planet Earth. These 4 letters state what has to happen in several scenarios, such as the Prime Minister being killed or incapacitated. In this instance, a designated second person is chosen to take responsibility over what happens next. The options included in the letters are thought to cover a number of other scenarios, such as whether the submarines should fire their weapons in the first place, take commands from an allied nation, or retreat to another region in the British Commonwealth, like Australia. When each successive PM comes in, the old letters are destroyed and replaced with new ones. Only the Prime Minister alone knows the contents of these letters, unless they get a bit loose-lipped after a couple of pints. However, these are just the instructions for if the Prime Minister is either killed or incapacitated. Let's say Truss actually wants to use the weapons at her disposal. Is it as simple as pressing a big red button, or jumping on the phone to the commanding officers of each submarine? Whilst the precise details are held secret in the name of national security, it is thought that a similar procedure will be upheld from the days of Polaris. That's the UK's old version of Trident. The Prime Minister would give direct orders to the Royal Navy, which would allow them to execute whichever plan they chose at the time. Currently, commanders of our nuclear vessels are able to launch the 225 ballistic missiles the UK has at its disposal without authorization, a move designed on the off chance that an enemy should destroy the entire chain of command. As with the letters of last resort deferring power to a second person in the case of their demise, nuclear deputies are appointed by the Prime Minister when they're out of reach or otherwise unavailable. Harold Macmillan chose Rob Butler and Selwyn Lloyd in 1961. John Major chose Malcolm Rifkind in 1995. We won't know who Prime Ministers such as Boris Johnson and Theresa May would have selected until the files become declassified. It's worth noting that the Parliament website claims the UK does not have a policy of no first use, meaning that when pushed to extreme situations, our leaders could be as trigger happy as any. So, long story short, we really do seem to be either the push of a big red button or one phone call away from worldwide destruction. Let's just hope when the possibility comes a knocking, our Prime Minister does the right thing and just doesn't answer.